Fake gurus love to sell the dream of making $5,000 a month while you sleep on a beach. The math required to actually achieve that is a lot less glamorous and more rigorous. Most people fail to reach this number not because they lack ambition, but because they choose a strategy that completely ignores their actual available resources. You cannot bootstrap a demanding software company if you have 0 free hours in your week. You cannot live off dividend yields if you only have $10,000 to your name. To figure out your exact path, we plot a matrix. The x-axis is sweat equity, your time. The y-axis is capital needed, your wallet. To earn $60,000 a year passively, you pay a heavy upfront cost in one of these currencies. Buying true financial freedom requires a harsh audit. You have to decide if your primary weapon is your capital or your weekends. The first path sits high on the capital axis and near 0 on the time axis: dividend growth investing and commercial real estate. Generating $60,000 a year to net that monthly $5,000 requires deploying roughly $1.2 to $1.5 million into blue-chip dividend ETFs, yielding a safe 4 to 5%. Think massive, established operations like Coca-Cola. Because companies like this consistently raise their payouts, this strategy creates a highly predictable income stream that reliably outpaces inflation over a multi-decade retirement. You can also deploy that capital into fractional, debt-free ownership of corporate-backed healthcare properties, like a net-leased DaVita clinic. You provide the cash, the corporate tenant handles the operations. This compares a sustainable 3.5% yield against a tempting 10%. People chase that 10% to lower their starting capital, but forcing high yields erodes the asset. Your principal shrinks, losing purchasing power to inflation, even as checks arrive. This route offers the only income that requires absolutely 0 of your daily time. It just demands a lifetime of high earnings to safely execute. Next, we move down the capital axis and slightly up the time axis. This is the hybrid route, acquiring a modern laundromat. Getting in requires between $250,000 and $750,000 upfront. Alternatively, you can use specialized small business financing to acquire an existing, stabilized location. This visualization shows the exact operational formula you need to master. Take your total number of machines, multiply that by the turns per day, and subtract your utility costs. That dictates your entire profitability. Hit the right metrics and you generate strong profit margins. It's a utility-driven, necessity-based service that holds up incredibly well during a recession. The trade-off here is physical volatility. In this semi-absentee model, you trade stock market fluctuations for heavy equipment breakdowns, utility spikes, and lease negotiations. A laundromat accelerates your cash flow if you have moderate savings, but you have to implement strict operational oversight to protect those margins. Pushing to the far right of the time axis and the very bottom of the capital axis, we hit the pure sweat equity route, building a micro SaaS. This requires almost 0 financial capital. What it does demand is intense technical skill and the ability to solve complex logic problems. Developers now leverage AI coding assistants to compress what used to be months of development work into just 2 to 4 weeks of focused effort. To survive here, your software must solve exactly one highly specific workflow problem for one exact professional niche: surgical instruments, not Swiss Army knives. You also cannot rely on expensive paid ads. You must build distribution directly into the product, integrating with platforms where your users already work. Nail the execution, and you can hit $5,000 a month in recurring revenue while maintaining profit margins well over 70%. This funnel chart outlines the harsh reality. 70% of micro SaaS products fail to generate even $1,000 a month. They skip validation and build things nobody wants. It requires an intensely active daily grind of marketing and iteration for the entire first year before transitioning into a passive asset. Micro SaaS offers an uncapped return for cash-poor founders. It strictly taxes your time and mental bandwidth until you find product-market fit. The final path on the sweat equity side relies on media rather than code, launching a super niche newsletter. You don't need physical infrastructure or inventory. You just need to produce deep dive, high-value written content with absolute consistency. Broad, general interest topics will fail. You have to capture an affluent, highly defined audience. like solo lawyers or indie hardware engineers. Reach just 5,000 dedicated subscribers, and your knowledge becomes the foundation for selling high-ticket consulting, securing local sponsorships, and premium affiliate deals. The trade-off here is that effortless digital growth is a complete myth in the modern publishing space. You have to endure 12 to 18 months of unpaid, heavy creative output before you ever reach the tipping point where monetization kicks in. Newsletters require zero financial leverage. They demand relentless consistency to slowly transform a free audience into a passive revenue engine. $5,000 a month does not happen by accident. Every single path demands a heavy upfront tax in time, money, or both. This decision matrix helps you determine exactly which tax you are currently equipped to pay. If you have over $1.2 million in liquid capital, map directly to dividend growth investing and real estate trusts for true late career passivity. If you have around $100,000 and moderate free time, map to a physical asset like a laundromat to accelerate your cash flow. And if you have zero cash but high drive, map to micro-SaaS or a niche newsletter. You trade your sweat equity for high margins. The hybrid and sweat equity methods require intense active management right out of the gate. Passivity is a delayed outcome, not a starting point. Stop searching for secret shortcuts. Honestly audit your bank account and your calendar. True financial freedom begins the exact moment you align your expectations with your resources and start paying the required upfront costs today.